Welcome to the XYZ podcast. I'm your millennial producer, Tony. With me, as always, is Gen X Brian.
Hey, man.
And Gen Z Winston.
What it do? It's my catchphrase.
How's it going, guys? Yeah, I'd like to welcome people to the podcast where we are not going to teach you anything. We are not going to talk about a murder that happened. We're not going to try any of that. Scrolling through the podcast, top 100 episodes or whatever, almost every single one of them was either a true crime or a news podcast, which I just thought was crazy because I listen to podcasts to make me laugh and occasionally learn something.
Maybe that's why we're not getting enough listener, Brian. We gotta start talking about murders on here.
Well, it's weird because I was just talking to Winston too because I had promoted us on
OnlyFans.
Yeah. $30 a month. I promoted us on Reddit and the podcast subreddit, and I was looking on there at people's new episodes, and it's the same thing. I would have thought that there was a lot more comedy stuff, but it's like, oh, here's a data podcast. I went, who's listening to this?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Tony was like, yeah, there's one about astrology. I'm like, yeah, totally, because I'm going to kick back and listen to some astrology podcast on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah. I mean, but I was just shocked. I would think there's news coming at you from all directions at all times. So like to podcast, you have to choose to listen to, right?
Yeah.
There was this thing I learned about. It was least objectionable program. This is when people would scroll the channels and you would find like, okay, what's good enough for me to watch?
Yeah.
But now it's 100% intentional. So yeah, I thought it was weird. I'm like, I get it. I like to be up to date on news, but also I'm listening to podcasts for something entertaining and something, I don't need to hear the news. I don't need to hear about the latest Ron DeSantis gaffe or,
You don't want to stay up to date on the latest murder?
Well, I mean, I have listened to some true crime podcasts and they're pretty cool. I mean, they do a good job of like digging into these things, but again, I don't know. If it's unsolved, it's solved. I don't know. It's still, it's entertaining, but I don't seek it out, I guess.
It's real blue balling you because most of them are like, and nobody knows what happened.
Nobody knows.
It's like, I don't want to constantly listen to stories that don't have a freaking end.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And he's still never been caught. Well, damn. Okay, now I know a lot about that case and know that this
for no reason.
And now I have a new reason for my anxiety because we don't know where he's at. Perfect.
But no, like, but to be fair, maybe when we do our Halloween episode, we can bring it up. We'll bring up like some crazy stuff.
Well, we're in Atlanta, so there's no shortage of like weird stuff that's going on in this town. As far as my wife recalls, back in grade school, they brought everybody to the cafeteria and did thumbprints. They did it under the guise of they were making Thanksgiving turkeys and like little thumbprint heads. So they brought all the kids to the cafeteria and they all did like this thumbprint thing, but they didn't tell them it was so they had like a thumbprint of all the kids in school. But that was even back in the day when the news would sign off or no, come on. And they would say, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
Oh, wow. Really?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Yeah. It was. Yeah, that was bizarre times. That was in the I think late 70s is when that was.
I'm going to bring it back around to Blockbuster.
Video?
Throwback for us. Bring it back for Blockbuster Video. They used to have things at Blockbusters where you would go in and again, it was under the guise of like, oh, this is fun. And you'd bring the kids in there, pick your movies for the weekend, but get the kids in front of this camera and let them record and things like that. And you would get this tape. You get a VHS tape of your kids just acting like goofs in front of the camera. It was 100% so that in case they got stolen, you had video evidence of what your children looked like.
Crazy.
What?
And the kids were like, this is just cool. We get to be in front of it. We're on the TV. And it's just like, nope, that was whenever you get thrown in the van, we can show this to the cops and go, this is what they last looked like.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you think the parents got to update those VHS every like few years or what?
Maybe. I mean, it's free now because you're putting yourself online all the time.
Shoot, yeah. I mean, you can't walk down the street without having 6 camera angles of what you were doing,
This is so funny that you said that because it was a joke I remember seeing on Twitter. And it was just like, you got to stop overdoing your makeup when you post photo online because if you were to go missing, we're going to try to find Beyonce when you don't look like that.
Yeah,
with the filters and the eye makeup, all that stuff. Yeah, that's an excellent point. That's crazy. Now today people would be like, no, we can't, you're filming our children. That's creepy.
Yeah.
That's weird. It's all about context. But yeah, it used to be you would turn on a video camera and people would immediately ham it up. People,
They'll be like,
you had two reactions. Yeah, you'd have either people, cover your faces or like, don't film me, or then, just act like a weirdo. I suppose that still applies that like when they put the camera on you at a sports event.
my go-to nowadays is if any of my friend point the camera at me, like recording a video, I'm like, what is up, YouTube? It's your boy.
Smash that like button.
Yeah,
don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button.
Yeah, that's what I don't even have a channel, but it's just what came out. I don't know. Like that's Speaking of YouTube, oh my gosh, I saw the story today. This is where I suddenly have a parenting question of like, did I expose my kids to too much after the fact? Miranda Sings, do you remember this? Like, she was.
Oh, are you behind on the news? Are you just now finding out about this?
It came up again. I remember reading it a couple weeks ago, but there was a story again today about how it's like really, really bad. And I'm like, I remember my kids watching that because it was full. It was, I guess, I don't know if it was the start of cringe video, but like 100% like these people acting like the worst possible, cringiest human being on the planet, and then would film it all. And like kids were intrigued by this. And now it's coming full circle that she was like a groomer and all this horrible stuff. I'm like, I remember my kids watching that. Suddenly I'm like, am I a bad parent?
She was definitely weird as hell. I don't think anybody really paid attention to that type of content when she was churning them out, because it was sort of like, it was just like that corner of the internet where it was just weird shit. Kind of like.
Did you ever end up in that corner of the internet?
No,
I remember you said.
I thought she was weird as hell, so I didn't watch it.
So you didn't watch it?
Yeah, but I watched but her audience was like the same people that would watch Fred and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
So I don't know who Fred is. I mean,
you don't know who Fred is? Like he had a show on Nickelodeon and everything. He was that kid with a real high pitched voice.
Yeah,
it's him, Annoying Orange, Miranda Sing. It's like those are like the core audience. It was like a weird corner of the internet.
Gotcha. You did not reside in that corner of the internet?
No. I was an edgelord, so I watch a lot more edgy content. I watch Smosh, I watch Ray William Johnson and stuff like that. It was just
you might as well, you could be saying like fake made up words. Yeah, I watched Tyrone Lambruschi. Yeah, he was good. Also Skeet Johnson, his stuff was fire.
Ryan Higa.
Yeah. Larry the Washing Machine, he was insane. That's
Larry the Washing Machine is crazy.
Watched a lot of Larry the Cucumber, but not Larry the Washing Machine.
Oh god, yeah.
That's really a thing, Larry the Cucumber. Anybody
from VeggieTale.
Oh, okay. So you have I do remember VeggieTales, but I'm saying if you all of those things that you said before, anybody probably over 40 is like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
The Larry the Cucumber, not Larry the Washing Machine.
But yeah, no, I do think Miranda Singh was always cringy, but her apology video that was put out was even funnier. Did you look into that, Brian?
No, I did not. That's I think what prompted this article was her apology video, non-apology video.
She had a freaking ukulele out. Like that's hilarious. And the fact apparently the video was like monetized, so she caught flag for that. And then she posted the song onto like streaming platforms, and then people was like, why the hell is your apology song on like these streaming platforms? And she had to then made a statement. It was like, oh, it's not me, somebody did it. And it's just like, dude, it's you, man.
Wow.
Another weird internet personality that same demographic, Shane Dawson, weird guy.
Don't know who that is.
That was a weird corner of the internet that only a certain amount of people kind of watch it. I mean, a large group, but not everybody did.
That was back in the day when I guess you went to YouTube and sought these people out, right? There were not in your feed or your stream. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's speaking of internet celebrities, you brought to my attention. We talked about on a past episode.
Doll,
NPC girl.
Yeah, NPC.
Suddenly realizing how the internet works.
So.
Things don't go away.
No, I mean, if we've taught anything to our children about being online, is like if you record it, if you post it like this, we may be screaming into the void, but still, if Tony says some inflammatory, comments about some, fill in marginalized group here, it's gonna live on forever
for sure. For those that don't know, Pinky Doll, the NPC girl, had a OnlyFans at some point. Either it was prior to her being famous off the NPC thing, or it was post NPC things. And she's now finding out that her content from her OnlyFans are being leaked all over the internet. and she had a meltdown about it on the interwebs. And then Brian, if you want to insert the clip of it,
yeah,
just her screaming.
I don't want to draw any more attention to her, but I just thought it was funny because like you get on the internet and you become big for 15 minutes or whatever it is.
Right.
And then suddenly you've done some I don't even want to call it questionable because it's not questionable. I mean, suppose that's
it's a way of earning money.
Yeah, that's fine. But then then suddenly that coming out, it's like, well, you drew a lot more attention to yourself. So of course people are going to go looking for more things. Yeah. And like completely lost her mind. For those who are new listeners, the NPC girl was the weird girl that got on the internet and tried to act like was it non-player character?
Yeah, non-playable character.
Non-playable. I'll get that. Well, I don't need to know that
at some point.
And became famous because she was weird on the internet. And then, people found all the other things she was doing on the internet. Then became shocked that people found these other things that she was doing on the internet.
Well, I don't think she was shocked that they found it. Or she was more upset that she wasn't getting paid for it. Yeah.
Right. That's really what it boils down
that's
to.
why in the video she was like, I'm gonna sue all of y'all. This is like, you're gonna put my face, my body on the internet and get away with it.
To which most of the people then went, people paid for this?
Well, I think, Tony, we discussed the fact that people were paying for the NPC thing. People clearly other than us, people have some serious disposable income.
Exactly.
I guess so. Yeah.
But what kills me was all the comments on the video that she posted, and it was just, Your Honor, they are guilty. Yes. Ice cream so good. It would be hilarious if she act like an NPC in person. Yeah.
Well, I'll give her some free advice, like that guy that used AI to try and beat his court case or whatever. Like that.
It won't go well.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Speaking of that, the writer's strike is still going on, so I've accepted the fate that the fall TV season is going to be tanked.
Yeah.
And
good things our show isn't scripted, right?
Right. We have no writers except us right here, and none of us
we're freestyling
after members. We have no writers, SAG after staff.
Yeah.
But I saw today that Netflix, and I kind of understood the part of the demands of the writer's strike a little bit better. I mean, I definitely understand and think it's 100% legitimate why they were striking. It's easy to look at it and say, oh, these actors are griping for more money, but it's not that. It's all the crew. It's all the people behind the scenes that do all this stuff that are really that have a solid voice of why they can't, why they're striking.
And what's funny was the first people that went on strike was actually the grips and the electrician department.
Do they have a separate guild?
Yeah, it's IATSE is what I remember it's being called. And so they were the first one to go on strike because, and this is funny. So I had a film degree coming out of college, and right as I was coming out of college was when the strike was happening. And that's when I was like, oh, this is awful. I don't want to work in Hollywood at all. These IATSE members are just like, yeah, I'm working like 16-hour days and I'm barely getting food for lunch. And then they would make me drive like 2-3 hours away from my house and then not provide a place to stay. And then I would have to sleep in my car or go home, sleep, drive 3 hours home, sleep for like an hour or two, get back in my car and then drive back. And I was just like, that sounds
horrible.
Yeah. And so I feel like they were the first people to really get hit by the producer greed. And so it keeps skimming up until it gets to like the actors, and they were just like, wait a minute, we're not getting paid either. We should totally go on strike for this.
Well, the thing that I saw today was Netflix had put out a job posting for an AI person.
Yeah.
And they wanted to be able to create AI background extras and basically, be able to we no longer need movie background extras, and we need to, we can insert these digital ones in all the things. I was like, wow, that's amazing. I think
Disney was doing the same thing. They were trying to like make these actors like sign contracts where their face would be reused for future projects.
Yep.
Yeah, without their consent or paid. And I just think that's kind of messed up. The technology itself is cool, don't get me wrong, but it's just the practice of it is a little.
Yeah. I just listened to, not to plug other podcasts, but I think you should plug other podcasts because there are some great podcasts out there. So Adam Conover, who used to have a show called, or may still have a show, Adam Ruins Everything. Love that dude. He's super great. He actually went on the Scrubs podcast because during the strike, they are not doing anything according to their rules. They cannot really discuss the television show.
Yeah.
And because that's sort of seen as promotion of something that, is associated with that. So they've pivoted to sort of an interview style podcast where they just interview people. So it's not scripted. You're just asking questions to a guest. And Adam Conover is one of the members of the committees that I think is in charge. Whatever Fran Drescher is, whatever that committee is, like the people that are talking to the people. And they had a really good show where they asked them a lot of questions to sort of get into the nitty gritty of what they're after. It is easy to look at it and say, oh, it is very easy to look at it and see that these people are greedy actors that want the money.
Speaking of greedy actors who want money, any of you following any of the controversy with Rachel, what's her name?
From Friends.
Rachel Zegler.
Oh yeah, the new Snow White. Hold on.
She went from being a starlet to being absolutely hated apparently by everybody pretty quickly.
She's still cutie to me.
Comments,
well, she got that starring role in West Side Story.
Yeah.
That did fairly well from my understanding. And then
she was in Shazam also.
She was into Shazam and she went, I only took that because I needed a job. And now she's cast as Snow White in the new live action Snow White
not the
remake.
Seven Dwarfs, the seven Snow White and the seven people, humans, the seven.
Yeah,
what
you're
are
not
they?
allowed to say that word anymore.
I know.
7 tiny people.
7 individuals.
Yeah. 7 individuals. You can't definitely say the M word.
The N word.
M.
Can't say either of those. Nope.
No. Snow White and the 7 people, humans of various sizes and heights.
Yeah. 7 acquaintances.
But go on, Tony, what were you saying?
Yeah. So apparently she's yelling about not getting paid enough for wearing. She's like, I'm wearing one of the most iconic princess dresses and staying around on set all day and I'm not getting paid, and going on TV and interviews and talking about how she hates the original and they're changing the storyline because she's like, she's not going to be saved by a prince and this and that. But
she's trying.
One side's going, you're too woke. And the other side's going, you're a fake feminist, and now nobody likes her.
I like her. I'm a Rachel Zegler supporter off of the fact that she's cute.
Yeah, and that would be deemed, what is that? Is Winston just playing
misogynist?
Yeah, misogynist. Toxic.
You're going, she's good for her looks, and that's all.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying I would watch her movies because she looks good. She's also in the new Hunger Game. I just think she looks good. This is the job of movie stars. They're supposed to bring the audience to the theater.
No, you also remember, if you're not for the cause, you're against the cause, and we deem you cancelable.
Guess I'm against the cause.
I'm complaining because why do we not have a German playing Snow White? It's a German fairy tale.
Hi ho.
Yeah,
it's off to work, we go.
It's literally in her name. She's Snow White. She's supposed to be white.
She is the honkiest of honkies. Wait, can I say that?
I don't know.
I'm not sure if we can say. But it's okay. Said. Slight pivot from honkiest of honkiest. When is the new Little Mermaid going to come out? So I am of.
It's already out.
Is it out?
Yeah, it was out in theaters. I don't know when it's coming to streaming.
Okay,
I almost feel like it's around the corner for streaming.
You know what's funny is as a person who's sort of like, I don't really go to the movies, but I obviously want to watch the new remake. There was so much controversy when that bubbled up. I'm like, so when's the movie coming out? I remember when the controversy happened, but I don't remember when the movie came out. And if when's it going to come streaming?
Give it like 2 or 3 weeks. September 6th.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the movie still made money. It was just the budget was so high that it was just like, oh well, it made money.
Is it good? So The Little Mermaid was amazing. The songs are fantastic. I look at this as kind of like
I've heard that the original Alan Menken songs were done okay, and there is a bunch of original music done by everyone's new other favorite person to hate, Lin-Manuel Miranda, that nobody liked because it sounds like everything else that he's done.
Yeah.
It's not original. Aquafina's in it apparently, talking about people who are kind of annoying.
Talking about Aquafina, can we talk about Shang-Chi while we're at it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So big news. People that listen to the podcast. One of my ex-girlfriend dated a guy who similarly in looks just like Simu Liu or Shang-Chi. Big shout out to her. She got engaged over the weekend. We hope he proposed with all 10 rings.
All 10 rings. So after we talked about that on the podcast, we went back and watched that movie. Clearly, I fell asleep halfway through it, or actually in the beginning, because that movie was awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So
it's
good.
A great movie.
It was so good.
I just didn't appreciate the fact that he's dating my ex-girlfriend.
Right.
But that was a great plot point.
He's now marrying your ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, he's now marrying my ex-girlfriend. It's kind of weird.
Do people not like Awkwafina? I find her. I don't have any. I think she's funny.
She's all right. It's just like fine. Sometimes the accent that she do is a little forced, and I think that's what it is. So people kind of cringe at her.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like she's deemed offensive because of the way she talks sometimes.
I find her obnoxious.
She is obnoxious, yeah.
In small doses, great.
Yeah.
But a little goes a long way.
I'm telling you, her role in Crazy Rich Asian, perfect, because it was just so short. I don't have to deal with her too much. But
gotcha.
Shang-Chi,
what's the origin of her name? That's a stupid name.
She was just awkward, and it's like Awkwafina. I don't know, Awkwafina.
This is where show prep. If we actually knew what
her name is Nora.
Nora.
It's not, yeah, like Nora Lum is her name.
Nora Lum. Yeah. I don't understand.
I think she says she thought the process of coming up with product names like Neutrogena and Awkwafina was funny, so she made her stage name Awkwafina.
Yeah, she was originally a rapper, which is pretty funny because she started out with YouTube. And then
hey man, everybody's trying to get their 15 minutes now.
She had an album called Yellow Ranger.
That sounds slightly racist. I'm not sure if we can. If she does it, I guess that's how it works, man. If you do it and that's your thing, then you're edgy, right? If somebody else does it, Tony comes out.
It's a hate crime.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Tony can't drop an album called a Yellow Ranger. What?
He's like, no, it's because I was jaundiced as a child. What the hell?
No. My wife named the album. It's okay.
I feel like there needs to be context here, Tony. You can't just say it.
Yeah, my wife is half Thai, half Chinese. So
I have Asian friends.
Can I tangentially get away with things? Yeah. Probably not. Yeah. Probably not. Shouldn't try.
Oh, it's hilarious.
So I have Asian friends.
Yeah. I'm not racist.
I know. I know
Winston. He's Asian. I know a ton of Asian people.
Yeah. I know. Similar.
All the Asian people I know is my wife and Winston.
Yeah. So I'm totally not racist. It's okay.
Well, that makes me want to ask. We're talking about movies. What is
movies,
everybody
racism,
had? Yeah, and racism. We'll ignore that. Get past that. What was everybody? Everybody had. I would hope everybody had like a go-to movie. You know how
like
kids
a comfort movie?
Kind of. You got kids nowadays where just like they seem to latch onto a film and that's what they watch nonstop over and over again for a period of time.
Yeah,
either of you have anything like that?
Mine is the Naughty Nurse Volume 3. I joke. That's that is not my favorite. I don't think that's even a real movie.
100%. If you Google it, I bet you find something. I'm not sure.
I'm sure.
I'm sure.
I was gonna make the joke. That was a cartoon, at least, right?
Yeah. No, but I was gonna say like a movie that I always go to or like rewatch consistently. Weirdly enough, it's a recent one. It's the Batman, which I think both of you guys hate. It's 3 hour long and it's a little boring, but I think it's one of my favorite movie.
Is that the Edward Cullen Twilight Batman?
Yes. Yeah. I've watched that movie now 4 times.
You're too recent though. I'm talking like as a child.
As a child. Oh,
a childhood go-to movie.
Yeah, I got you. Hercules. The animated Hercules movie was literally my favorite one, and I think it's the reason why I'm into Goth Girl because of what's her name,
Megara.
Yeah, what a hottie! My goodness. Yeah.
Oh, fun fact: when I worked at Disney, that was one of the movies they were animating at the time when I worked there. That was
really?
That was when they were working on.
That's cool.
If I have to think back, but this was when I was in junior high and probably the beginning of high school. You guys, I 100% know you don't know this movie. Summer School, Mark Harmon. You guys, there's no way I can even describe this movie, and I don't even think you know anybody of the people in it. But it was
what is it called?
Summer School.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, that was one that me and my friend Tom watched a lot. Probably could if I put it on today, could probably recite it from start to finish.
Really?
Yeah, but that was, I'm gonna guess 80 8.
While you're saying that, though, I just looked up Hercules. Apparently, it came out before I was born, 97.
Yeah.
I was born 99, so I watched it definitely when I was like 4 or 5, so that's even later on.
Wow.
So I was definitely
Imprint.
late. Yeah, but if we're talking about a movie that came out after I was born, then probably Cars, because me and you had this conversation, Brian, where Cars was the first Cars movie was literally one of my favorite ones.
And you watched it over and over and over. Could recite it line for line.
I can't recite it line for line, considering the fact that I always skipped the part where he had to repave the road. Boring as hell. But the
forever.
tramp stamp Porsche ingrained in my mind.
2006 for Cars. You're close, Brian. 87.
87. Okay, so we're gonna take a detour thanks to Winston. Well, actually, let's hear yours, and then we have to take a detour because Winston and I had a conversation about tramp stamps, and we're gonna go there. I didn't know that we were gonna go there, but we're gonna go there.
Mine was definitely before my time. I could pull out
Joe Dirt.
So many. No,
Snow White.
I did. Well, to be okay, as a side tangent, my grandma would buy us VH8 movies. She'd buy me and my brother VHS movies, and we had like our own TV down in her downstairs that we'd go visit her, and we would just retreat to the basement and
yeah, because not
my
the
grandma
attic,
we're
though,
gone.
right?
Yeah,
basically. All right, the adults are hanging out, so we go down and not bother them, and we had this knockoff, and I want to say it was from Sony, but it was a knockoff Snow White movie. All of the dwarves were named Joe, and we just called it Snow White and the Seven Joes.
Shut up!
And it was
there were
so many lame jokes in it, but I've refound a VHS copy that I have purchased out of nostalgia.
What is it called? Is it really called Snow White and the Seven Joes?
No, it's just called Snow White. But there were 6 Joes, and then there was Little Joe.
And who are you fellows?
I'm Joe. Meet Joe, and over there is Joe. The one standing next to Joe is Joe. And here and over there we have Joe, and here and here and here is Joe.
What about me?
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Little Joe.
6 Joe and Little Joe.
Yeah, just like, hi, I'm Joe, and this is Joe and Joe and Joe and Joe. And that's Little Joe.
Because apparently, okay, let's see if we can do it. Let's see. I probably can. I know Tony can. Can Winston name all 7 dwarfs?
Yeah, it's greed, gluttony.
Those are the 7 sins. Those are the 7 sins.
I'm telling you, haven't seen it. Haven't seen Snow White.
The 7 dwarves.
I know this. I know of Snow White and the 7 dwarves. I haven't seen it, and I don't remember the name.
That was give it a shot. Give it a shot.
I don't know, Grumpy.
Okay, 1.
Tyrese.
Tyrese is great.
Ray.
Daquan. Pookie. Quandale Dingles. Quandale and Dingles. Yeah. No, but what other than Grumpy?
7. 7. No?
7? That's one of their name?
No, there's 7 dwarfs.
Oh.
Quandale is not one of them. Dingles is not one of them.
Grumpy is one of them.
Grumpy's one of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Sleepy?
Yep.
Yeah, we got 2.
Angry? Gluttony? I don't know. Hungry? I'm assuming something ends with Y here.
Most of them end in Y.
Yeah. Schizo, cringy.
Brian, you want to try to fill some of these in here for him?
Okay. Let's see.
So what I got? Grumpy, sleepy. What else?
Yeah, that's
Those are 2 you got.
Yeah. Okay. Who else is there? The other 5.
Okay, we got 2, right? Okay, I got 5 more. We got Dopey, obviously.
Dopey? Was he on dope the whole time?
Yeah, dude was stoned, man. Look at his eyes, man.
He didn't talk. Dopey didn't talk, and the reason was he never tried to.
Yeah, he was high off his...
Seriously, look at the movie. Look at his eyes.
Yep.
Yeah. He probably hung out with like Shaggy and Scoob. All right, so we got 3, right? Okay.
Who else?
Doc.
Doc was the leader.
Okay.
Bashful.
Mm-hmm.
Bashful.
Where am I?
That's 5. 4? 5? 5.
Jeez.
That's 5. 2 more.
Wonderful audio content. Just silence.
We'll cut out those silence. So, okay, so
no, you're gonna leave it in silence. That's even funnier.
Cricket noises. Bashful, Grumpy, Doc,
Sleepy,
Dopey, Sleepy.
Joe and Little Joe.
Yeah, Little Joe.
Tyrese, right?
Tyrese.
I don't know.
missing-
Tony, help me out here.
You're missing Sneezy,
Sneezy.
Oh,
right.
because he'd be sneezing.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the
Got
most
some
talkative
allergies.
of them, Happy.
Happy.
Ah.
Okay. Sneezy
Happy.
and happy. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. That's I was too distracted with Winston's
But-
comments.
Yeah, that was a side tangent.
Yeah.
No, I would say that the movie that one of the movies that I watched besides Snow White and the Seven Joes was watched.
That was the copy bought at Dollar General. That was
Yeah, it really is. It's the one you find at the checkout line. Man, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. with
The
Gene
original
Wilder.
one with Gene Wilder. Oh, that's crazy.
It's like Brian was saying, I could quote that movie. And this is again, I bypassed Star Wars because you just go, well, of course you did.
Yeah.
But yeah, man,
The only thing I can
Willy
quote.
Wonka and the music is just incredible.
Dude, the scene through the tunnel is straight up freaky.
That's one of my it's like one of my favorite scenes.
That's amazing.
That's one of the ones that I
Absolutely amazing.
quote the most, probably.
Yeah, that's Winston. You've not seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
No,
No, Willy Wonka.
different. Willy
Charlie and
Wonka.
the yes, thank you
Charlie
for
and the
correcting me.
Chocolate Factory with
Charlie,
Johnny
yeah,
Depp.
that's Johnny Depp. I haven't seen
Ooh.
that one either,
Good.
and I'm not gonna watch the Timothy Chalamet one that's coming out
Mm-mm.
either. But
It's an interesting take, but yeah, I saw that and I was
I
like,
think
eh.
I think that's a prequel.
it is a prequel,
Yes.
but he just doesn't have to. I don't know, something about him. It just every time I watch that trailer, I cringe, especially when he's like, "So shut up and listen down, scratch that, reverse it, or whatever."
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
cringe. I
No,
hate
Gene
it.
Wilder was so amazing. I don't. Everything else seems like a weird half attempt at an imitation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It would be like if somebody tried to do a Pee Wee movie now. It's just like, don't bother.
Yeah,
Dude,
you
it's
can't-
just
you
you're
can't
gonna
do it.
ruin it.
Yeah,
I read those books. Like I was such a huge fan of those books. The Charlie and the Chocolate Factory books were so good. And then that movie, yeah. Which, yeah, if that's ever on, I will, a TV, I will stop and watch it because,
Absolutely.
Gene Wilder's performance is amazing as Willy Wonka, and everything else is just, Johnny Depp made him like all flamboyant, like
I thought he was like a murderer in the Johnny Depp one. I always thought he
No.
was a bad person.
like he could have, in my opinion, he could have pivoted and been on like Project Runway. It was like his character was like, I don't know, I didn't love Johnny Depp's interpretation.
Yeah,
I'm
he
a
was
big
just
fan of
supposed to be odd and whimsical, but not
Creepy.
creepy.
He was
Yeah.
almost
Points.
Joker-like, I feel.
For Johnny
Yeah.
Depp, it was.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
because Gene Wilder said, I saw an interview with him saying that he said he would take the role, but the one thing that he insisted on was whenever you first see him in the movie, he opens the door, and again, the lore of the movie is like, hey, Wonka closed his factory gates years ago, and no one's seen him since, but the factory is running full blast, and no one knows what's going on. And it's this big deal. He's doing this golden ticket thing, and they're letting people into factory. So, like, the world shows up to see this guy come out and greet these kids because nobody's seen him forever. And he comes
Right.
out and he's got this cane. And it's like
Yeah,
everyone
that's
starts cheering.
fantastic.
And as soon as he starts walking with this cane, it just goes silent.
Mm-hmm.
And he's walking real slow. And all of a sudden he loses the cane and like has a moment of panic cross his face and falls forward and does the somersault. And then everybody cheers again.
That scene is amazing.
But
Amazing.
Gene Wilder goes, I want to do that. And if we can't do that, I won't take the role because the rest of the movie hinges on that point. Because from
That's
that
awesome.
point on, you don't know whether to believe a word that this man says.
Winston, you've not
Ah.
seen this movie? The
Yeah,
original.
I know a ton about Willy Wonka
It's-
Chocolate
yeah.
Factory. All I know is
Alfonso
there's a
and- yeah.
golden ticket. He's on the meme, and then that's it.
What's the meme?
You never seen the meme with like? Hold on.
I have seen the one with Gene Wilder's face
That's-
going, "Oh, tell me more." Like,
yeah,
or-
that's the meme.
okay,
Yeah, that's all I know. Yeah.
Honestly, I would put this movie in front of The Wizard of Oz. Again, we're talking to a film major, Tony.
I don't know that this is as culturally relevant as
Oh,
Wizards
I
of
think-
Oz, but I think it's a better
I think-
movie.
Oh, it's so good. It
Okay,
is
hold
so-
on.
yeah.
So explain to me what the plot is. Like, what is he
So the
doing?
plot-
What are these kids
so
are
the
showing
plot
him with
is,
golden
again,
tickets?
The backstory is Wonka and his competitor Slugworth were these two huge candy giant companies, and Slugworth had sent spies into the factory and tried to steal some of the candy making secrets. The factory just comes back to life and is pumping candy out. Like nobody's seen him. Nobody goes in or out. This contest starts. So you have a chance of finding one of these golden tickets inside. But these 5 children end up winning.
Augustus Gloop.
Veruca Salt is a bratty little girl. Mike TV was he was obsessed with television and westerns. Violet Beauregard very into gum. Main character, this suspicious man shows up in the background of all like of them. He'd come home and they're like, what are we having? They're like, cabbage water. That was dinner.
5 hours later.
That last ticket was a hoax. Grandpa Joe decides that he's going to go to the factory with them. They go. The Oompa Loompas, and all of these terrible things happen to these. They get taken into all of these hijinks ensue.
Spoiler alert, man.
Well, no, I'm asking for it. I'm not going to watch the movie, so I want to know what's happening.
You absolutely should watch the movie.
I watched the Johnny Depp one instead.
No,
please don't.
No, blasphemy.
They get taken into this huge room where everything's made out of candy. Wonka's got this thing going on called an everlasting. Charlie and his grandpa have a little bit of a side adventure where they do something that they weren't supposed to, although they come out safe on the other side.
Many minutes later.
All of the children disappear and they reach the end of the tour. Hey, if that's Slugworth wants one of these everlasting gods. So he turns the entire factory over to Charlie.
Yeah, we're going to have to put a spoiler alert because if anybody's not seen this movie, you did a fantastic job of recapping. This just turned into a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory recap. Wait,
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Willy Wonka and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Then they should have made the Johnny Depp one a sequel, right? That would have made the most logical sense.
Tim Burton wanted to remake it, and Gene Wilder's performance is amazing. That was an excellent recap, Tony. Like you just took me through the whole movie. When's the last time you watched that? Because that was an excellent job.
It had to not been that long ago, but it's been a while.
A couple weekends ago, we sat down and watched the whole thing. It was
great. It was one of those ones. I've always been a musical kid, and I would sit down and on top of being a fantastic film, it is a musical.
Yeah,
that's right. The Oompa Loompas got a jam.
The Oompa Loompas, there's a lot of good music before they ever get to the Chocolate Factory.
Did we get here from talking about Snow White and the 7 Small People?
Yes, we did.
I asked about childhood movies. Is how I got here.
I did. I thought that was interesting because in the previews for the new Timothy Chalamet one, there is a hilarious little clip of Hugh Grant as one of the Oompa Loompas.
Yes.
He's in a jar, which is just weird in and of itself. But
he's in a jar for a reason.
But you gotta love Hugh Grant for being like, I'm fine. You can totally portray me as that.
Yeah. I love the little accent that he had. He was like, "I'll have you know." That's pretty good.
So what we're gonna do, because Winston's watch it list has now probably exceeded 100 films, we're gonna have to do a ranking of them. Right now, in my immediate recollection, that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Willy Wonka. Honestly, all these new ones have screwed it up in my memory.
You get real senile, Brian.
But I believe the books were called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I think the books were Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, it was renamed.
Fact check that
for the first movie.
It's Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. I'm going to contend that it was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for the original books.
That's what I just said.
Right.
But you said it was the books was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Okay. Now, Winston, I gotta stop drinking on these podcasts. Yeah, we've confused ourselves. Clearly, drinking on the podcast is not working out in my favor.
I'm actually sober.
Recalled.
I didn't even get a drink tonight, so I'm sober Sam for today.
Sober Sam. Do people say that, or is that just a you're saying?
I don't know. My roommate said it, and so then I caught on to it.
We got Debbie Downer and Sober Sam.
Yeah, that's sound like Disney characters.
they're part of the 7 Little People.
We've
got Debbie Downer.
That's part of the new ones. Yeah.
Man, we've gone off the rails. There were several things I wanted to bring up, but we have so derailed at this point. Oh, tramp stamps.
Oh,
tramp stamps and cars. That's what we're circling back to.
We can end on tramp stamp. That's right. Let's go there.
No, Winston and I were unofficially chronicling the evolution of the tramp stamp, the tramp stamp from sexy tattoo adornment to its negative connotation of like
trashy behaviors.
Thank you. Yeah. So in an unofficial study, I was recalling the rise of the tramp stamp prior to the moniker tramp stamp, of when it was still looked at like, dang, check that out. This probably dovetails into whale tails. Dovetails into whale tails. That's fantastic. but we were trying to place the chronology of when young Winston was watching Cars as a youth. When you saw that joke, okay, so all right. Okay. Explaining to a wider audience, if you haven't seen the animated Disney Pixar movie Cars, there's a point where the Porsche, right?
She's Sally, a Porsche. Sally the Porsche.
Sally the Porsche makes a turn, and what? Lightning McQueen notices
was behind her. She had a tramp stamp on the back of her.
What does he say? What does he call it?
I don't know what he called it. Is that,
or he just sees it and he
just saws it? He saws it and he was like, "Oof!" Kind of like, she's one of those type of women. I don't know.
We were talking about this, and I was like, "When did Cars come out? 2003, right?" And I was like, I think 2007. So that's even farther. So I was trying to chronicle the tramp stamp of when I started seeing it, when I started seeing people have it before it got that negative connotation. And that I had figured 97, 98 is when you started.
Okay, hold on. So there's a joke. I want to share my screen
again, Tony. Does Winston realize we can see each other, but the folks at home can't see.
Hey, do I spy a little pinstriping tattoo back there?
Oh, that's just Oh, you saw that? Yeah. Just gonna be going.
Pinstriping tattoos, whatever that means.
Okay, so that was the joke. Okay, so as a kid, you probably didn't get that.
No, I still don't get it. I don't know what that means.
No, it's an illusion
saying tramp
to the
stamp without saying tramp stamp
exactly.
in a child's
okay. So 2007, young Winston was 8 years old, so of course he wouldn't get that.
Yeah.
When, as you know, I got that joke and I was like, okay, that's funny. So by then, by 2007, you had the passing of Paris Hilton. What was the show that Paris Hilton and Lionel Richie's daughter Nicole Richie had? Blank stares.
Didn't watch that one. Couldn't tell you.
Producer Tony's going to look up the Nicole Richie Paris Hilton show from the early aughts, as they call them. Does anybody really call it the aughts in conversation, or is that just how it's referred to in articles?
No, I think so. I think that's the
aughts
term. The simple life.
The simple life. So in the early aughts, Paris Hilton, and if you don't know who Paris Hilton is, I suppose you could Google that. And Lionel Richie.
He had a really good movie out. It's One Night in Paris.
And that sits on the shelf next to Debbie Does Dallas
and
Naughty Nurse Volume 3, right?
Volumes 3 through 48.
And did Kim Kardashian's tape have a name? I don't know.
Yeah, The Comeback Story.
That was her origin story. If anything, this is where my wife would say we go into our podcast has become too penisy. What is it? Did they have a real name for that one?
This is going on my search history too. Keep talking.
The Paris Hilton one, yes, that's actually what it was called. The Kim Kardashian one, it was just the Ray J tape. I think that's what it was called.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez, man.
Anyway, back to the TV show.
Disney movies to celebrity sex tapes. How about that?
Okay, Paris Hilton had a show with Lionel Richie, daughter Sophia Richie.
I believe she made that Sophia Richie. No, it was Nicole Richie. I don't know if Paris has a tramp stamp, but I believe by that era they were indeed
popular.
Maybe that's when they rose to prominence and then given the derogatory term.
Right.
Perhaps,
yeah.
But in 2007, they make that very, very thinly veiled joke about it. So the kids wouldn't get it, but the parents would get it in the Cars movie.
Yeah.
Which, circling it all back, is Winston's comfort film as a child. We've just defiled his comfort memory as a child.
But the reason why the conversation came up was I don't understand the idea of tramp stamp. I just think it's weird. Like, it's kind of trashy.
It's absolutely trashy. And that's what the conversation was. Again, old guy explaining to him at one point it wasn't called that and it was not viewed trashy. But then just like anything, just like I feel that the meaningful quote of, in some like really cursive font on some girl's rib cage, those are going to be the tramp stamps of the later era of the what millennials. Is that a millennial thing? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's also Gen Z. A lot of Gen Z kids I know have tattoos here on their ribs.
Yeah.
Like
and it's some quote, right? Some quote that sums up their philosophy on life.
It's not always a quote. It's just anything. It's just, I feel like the ribs tattoo is always the go-to nowadays for people.
in addition to the tramp stamp, what I also found amusing and was derided online was the people that would get the either Chinese, some sort of Asian
Chinese
writing.
letters,
Yeah. And
it's like, what does that even say? I don't know. Oh, it could be like
chicken
noodles.
with rice. Yeah. A lot of people found that they were orders
soup.
off Chinese menus. Yes, that was sort of tandem with the tramp stamp. Like as those, I'm like, that's totally cool, but I have no connection to Asian culture. Why would I put an Asian character on my body? That's super cool.
Can you imagine the Chinese guy having an English word on a tattoo on him?
Yeah.
It's like it's like the English T-shirts that you find pictures of online from Asia.
Poorly translated.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're so bad.
They're great. I love them.
But I feel like this is all in line too. I would add a third here, which is the tribal arm tattoo.
Oh, super 90s.
Yeah.
Super 90s.
You get one of those and a puka shell necklace, man. It's asking for trouble now.
I've got a personal tie into this. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but my millennial spokesperson Tony, tattoos?
No tattoos, actually. No.
Okay. And Winston, I'm pretty sure you don't have a tattoo, right?
Yeah, I have a tramp stamp actually. Said bite me.
He doesn't understand why it's trashy.
Yeah. Just like
that's why he's confused.
Damn it. Look at how it frames my backside so nicely. Okay, so I kind of figured the answer to that. So I have a tattoo. It's not embarrassing. Oh man, I've got.
Do you have a tribal tattoo?
That's why it's a tribal story.
Yeah, it's no. This is not embarrassing. This is not Michael Jackson jacket embarrassing. But I actually have several embarrassing stories about tattoos. So in the 90s. Went with this is great. I'm going to tie this all in. I'm going to tie this in with Disney, even though it has nothing to do with the actual tattoo, but it has to do with where I was. So in 1990 something, early 90s, I got a tattoo. It's I am a drummer, was a drummer, and absolutely in love with the playing of John Bonham of Led Zeppelin. So on my arm, see, now I'm fully identifiable if my corpse ends up anywhere. Fully identifiable. On my right shoulder, I have the 3 rings which signify John Bonham. We don't have enough time to go into why that is. We'll get that. That'll be another supplemental episode, perhaps. On my right arm, got a tattoo. It worked outside in landscaping, got very faded from working outside. I didn't cover it with sunblock. So at one point, a buddy of mine was down visiting when I was working at Disney. We went to the parks and we're talking about tattoos for whatever reason. I decide mine needs to be recolored because it's been super faded from being out in the sun and not covering it. He decides he's been wanting a tattoo. This is like 1990 something, and this is perfect. Again, the Disney tie-in has nothing to do with the story, but it was actually what was happening. And we go and get our he has his tattoo, and it's not only is it tribal, it's the tribal band around his right arm.
Oh, yeah, that was talk about. That was the one.
I mean, was it at the forearm or was it at the bicep?
The bicep.
Yeah, the bicep. What a douche.
So I get mine recolored, right? And he gets his tribal band. And now, you never realize what's going to be like a snapshot of that time 100%. And that is a snapshot of that time 100%. So yes, tramp stamps and tribal arm tattoos. Like what? Are you from the Zulu Nation? Why do you need a tribal tattoo? You're a white guy from Indiana.
I was going to say there's only 2 type of dudes that get the tribal tattoo. 1, they're a white guy, or 2, he's Samoan. It's always just those 2. It's either or.
Yes, he was a white guy. Incidentally, had a Hawaiian friend when I worked there who had a tribal tattoo, but it did seem a little bit more it made a little bit more sense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like I see an Asian guy with an Asian character on his neck, I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to think that means Kung Pao, right?
I don't know. You see Asian guys with tattoos, that's usually
he's a gang member.
Usually not
he's
good.
He's Yakuza.
not good news.
Exactly.
So the whole tie-in was that at that point, tribal armbands and tramp stamps were looked at as cool, probably mainly by white people, but still at the time it seemed like okay, that's totally cool.
Right.
Yeah. So and then at some point where Paris Hilton, that's I guess the tie into Paris Hilton. God, I got to learn how to tell stories in order. I'm like Quentin Tarantino here with my story.
That's it.
That's why Winston doesn't have a tramp stamp.
Yeah,
that's it. Well,
wait, Tony, are you gonna wrap up? Can you do me a favor?
At the end.
Okay,
yes.
Can you do me a favor? Can you do the outro this time, but in a transatlantic accent? the entire. I know you're good at it. I want it the entire outro in a transatlantic accent.
Totally.
All right, as long as this doesn't be like, and we're ending, and Tony, pull out this accent. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Rate and subscribe wherever you're listening to. We appreciate it. Tell a friend. We're looking for listeners all across America, from coast to coast. Please tell a friend about us, friends and family. Rate and subscribe. If you want to talk about something, if you want to hear more of this, send us an email. That's a fancy computer letter you send through the internet. You can stamp that envelope through the interwebs right to podcastxyzwhy@gmail.com. You can visit us on the picture website Instagram or the video website TikTok. We're there too. You can find us everywhere. We have a home on the web at podcastxyzwhy.podbean.com. Come and see us. This is Podcast XYZ signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
That was fantastic. Best outro ever. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
See everybody in 2 weeks.